Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by our dear brother. This is the translation of that message that was sent to me. The translation reads like this. Hello, Brother Nash, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I am a man who is aged 35 with a confession that I would like to make. I am the reason as to why my wife is having a lot of miscarriages. This is my story in detail. I was once a very poor bus conductor working for this other man, a very rich man, but he is also an occultic man. Until one day when he told us that he was going to buy another bus. So at that time when he told us that he wanted to buy another bus, this bus, it was already at the Durban Harbour, and then it came and we picked it up on the other side of the border, and then we returned it back to the garage. So this bus, he then said that he wanted to have a new route that will be traveling between South Africa and Malawi, because he said that there is a lot of money there. So that is how I started operating on this route between South Africa and Malawi. So this man, when he told us that we will be the one that will be operating on this route, he then made us to perform some rituals. So these were the rituals that he made us to do. We then traveled from our garage, which is in South Africa, because we have another depot there. Then we returned back to the main depot, which is here in Harare in Zim. When we arrived here, he then waited until everyone had knocked off, and then we started with the rituals. This bus, we parked it in the front, in the middle of the garage. Then his traditional healer came. When the traditional healer came, he then gave us 20-liter buckets of water. It was really cold, and he told us that we were supposed to bath because he was removing the bad luck. Otherwise, that was going to make us to have an accident when we will start to work with this new bus. And after that, this traditional healer and our boss got onto the bus, and then he started to do his rituals. Brother Nashi, I saw that this traditional healer, at the back of his pickup truck, there was a coffin. So when we saw that there was a coffin, me and the main driver, we just thought that maybe it was just an empty coffin. That was when the assistant of that traditional healer told us that inside that coffin there was actually a body of a deceased woman that they were supposed to use. They had stolen this dead woman from this other mortuary, and this mortuary belongs to the friend of our boss. We thought that maybe this was just a prank or a joke, but when the time came for that body to be removed from the coffin, indeed that was when we saw that this thing that was happening, it was real. They then removed that dead woman from that coffin. They lifted her up and they made her to stand, and this dead woman started walking. She then climbed into the bus. She went onto the bus, and our boss was following her. She sat on the first seat, and our boss wrote the first bus ticket for her and gave it to her until she had finished sitting on all the seats that were available on that bus. After that, then they made her to get off from the bus. Then she collapsed, and they picked her up and they took her back into that coffin. Then the traditional healer and his assistants, they all left, and they returned that body back to the mortuary. Our boss then told us that this thing that we had seen, we were not supposed to tell it to anyone. Then our boss then told us that we were supposed to have our own buses, also wanted us to start our own bus companies. So when it was in 2016, that was when our boss told us that he was in Malawi. So we had traveled from South Africa going to Malawi, but we were still on the same side, and our boss told us that we were supposed to meet up with him in Malawi. So we went to our depot, which is in Blantyre, and whilst we were there, our boss then came and picked us up. We were then taken to that traditional healer's house, and we were told that we were there to join the brotherhood. On our arrival, we were told to strip off our clothes, and we were given these white garments, and we were told to spend 7 days without food. That was when our boss hired another bus conductor and another driver, since we had to spend 7 days without food staying there in Malawi, and the bus was supposed to make its way returning back to South Africa so that it can pick more passengers and return back to Malawi. So we spent 7 days without food, and we were told that when we would go back home, I had to sacrifice someone that I loved the most. And I was told that my wife was going to fall pregnant, and my wife, after she would have fallen pregnant, I was supposed to sacrifice her unborn child, the one that she was carrying in her womb. I was then given the rule that each and every year I was supposed to sacrifice someone, and I should also return back to Malawi with fresh blood and meat for the whole brotherhood to feast upon. That is what me and my friend did. The following year, we then returned back to Malawi. As for my friend, the meat that he brought, it was the meat of his son. So at that time when we left Zim, his son was still alive, but what they were seeing was not a human being, but it was the shadow of his son, because I had helped my friend to murder his own son, and we then collected his flesh and we returned with his flesh to Malawi. And when we arrived there, there were a lot of men that you could see that these men, they are big boys that are wealthy, and we feasted upon the flesh of my friend's son. As for me, I had a 5 liter that was full of blood. So whenever my wife would have a miscarriage, I had been given some charms that I had to put in my bathing water so that I will be able to collect the blood that will be coming out of her. So whilst I'll be bathing, I would actually see the water turning into red, like blood red. Then I would collect that water and put it in a container. When that 5 liter was full, I then hid it somewhere in our bedroom, and me and my friend, we then returned to Malawi, and we then feasted upon the flesh of my friend's son who had passed away, and we also drank the blood after my wife had several miscarriages. And up until now, me and my wife, we do not have any kids, because whenever she falls pregnant, she loses the child. As for my friend, at least he made that sacrifice. Since I did not have any child, I could not sacrifice anything because I did not have a child. All that I could sacrifice was my unborn babies. So I have made other women to fall pregnant for me again, and I have sacrificed their unborn babies. The issue is that I now want a family of mine, but I can't seem to have one because I sacrificed all of my children, including the unborn ones. Please help me, Brother Nashi. I need to get rid of this and to get out of this brotherhood. If you see the house that I built here in South Africa, you will be shocked. And most of the people that I come across, after I would have told them that when I was working for this man, because I found this job here in South Africa, they do not even believe me because I have made so much money. I have 2 of my buses that travel between South Africa and Zim, then the other one travels between Zim and Botswana. So these buses, for them to be always on the road without any breakdowns, without causing any accidents, it is because of the blood of my unborn babies. My wife keep on having these miscarriages that I am causing, and she does not even know. I do not know if there is anyone that can assist me when I try to go to some prophets, because I have thought about it, but whenever I think about it, then I am given a clear warning. In that vision, I'll be running around the streets of Johannesburg, running mad, pretending as if I am driving a bus, and sometimes I'll be even pulling a trolley behind my back as if it is a bus that is pulling a trailer headed for Zim. So I do not want to run mad, because a lot of people, they know me. I do not want people to know that I am running mad because I was once a ritualist. Please, if there is anyone who can assist me, as for now, I do not want Christians to assist me because you are going to give me a lot of troubles. I just want a traditional healer who can help me to negotiate with this demonic spirit that I had deal with, so that at least it can soften the terms and conditions of the contract that we had. I want to have some kids. so that when I die, at least they will inherit these houses that I bought here in South Africa. If I die right now, then who is going to inherit all of these things? I do not want my wife to inherit them, because after I would have died, then she is going to get married. I do not want that to happen. I just want to have kids. So if there is any traditional healer who can help me to soften these terms and conditions of the contract that I signed with the devil, I'll be following through in the comment section. Yo, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by our dear brother right there. Strange things do happen in this world.